Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 99th episode of TechNow, the webinar dedicated to debuting all of the hottest new ServiceNow features for admins, builders, and developers alike. For the next hour, prepare yourself because we're not only going to be showcasing all these new offerings, but we are going to be seeing them demoed live. So before we dive into the content, though, let's introduce the phenomenal team of developer advocates that have really worked together to bring this webinar to life here today. I'll go ahead and kick things off. My name is Lauren McManaman. I was a customer for 2 years before joining ServiceNow as a company, where I've now worked here for 7.5 years, wild, partially as a creator workflows SC, and now, of course, where I am today. Personal life-wise, I love photography, whether that's aerial photography with my drone, scuba photography, or, of course, regular on-land photography. Also, if you're lucky, you might catch a glimpse of my favorite companion, my 4-year-old Bichon Frise. And with that, I'll hand things off.
Thanks, Lauren. Hi, everyone. I am Earl Duque. I've worked on the platform as a developer from 2016 to 2021 before joining the company. But before joining, I was one of the original developer MVPs and hackathon aficionados. Since joining ServiceNow, you can see me helping with developer programs like Hacktoberfest, assisting the MVP community, and making videos both informative and silly. About me personally, I love all things games. I love building weird stuff on ServiceNow, and I am a proud father of 2 girls who are now 2 and 4 years old. Now I'll pass it off to Pranav.
Hi, everyone. My name is Pranav, and I have close to 8 years of experience working on ServiceNow. And for last 2 years, I'm working with ServiceNow. So I started my journey as a software engineer, then moved to consulting, did it for a couple of years. And just prior to joining ServiceNow, I was working with a customer and was supporting them with their ServiceNow implementation. Apart from my work, I love to travel, do some walking, and play video games. Now I'm going to pass it to Kristy.
Well, thank you, Pranav. Hey, everybody. I'm Kristy Merriam. I have been in the ServiceNow ecosystem for roughly 10 years and a ServiceNow employee celebrating my 8th anniversary coming in April. I spent my time prior to being an employee as a platform owner. And like Lauren, before becoming a developer advocate, I was also a creator workflow solution consultant. But in my time here at ServiceNow, I've contributed quite a bit to our Creator Gone Hack Zone space, where you'll find the majority of my hobbies reflected in the demos there. Now I'm going to pass it to Travis.
Thanks, Kristy. Hi there, I'm Travis Tolson. I've been a developer on the ServiceNow platform for 14 fun years. I am best known for my contributions in the community as a developer MVP. On a personal note, I have 2 boys, a 5 and a 15-year-old, so my main hobby at this point is cat herding. But when I do make the time, I love to spend it running, tinkering in my wood shop, or gaming. Now back to Lauren.
Awesome, team. Well, I'm so excited to have y'all here. And a few more housekeeping things before. I promise we are nearing the end of them before the content starts. But of course, gotta throw in a quick plug for the Breakpoint podcast. I promise I did not mean to wear the exact same outfit as in the photo. The Breakpoint podcast talks about all the things that help make you a better ServiceNow developer. So join me anytime to hear about new product features in depth with the people that create them, career stories, and of course, non-technical skills as well. You can find this where any podcast can be found, whether that is Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and now in the edition of 2025-ish on YouTube as well. So be sure to check that out. It's a fun ride. Also, whenever we're talking about a brand new release of ServiceNow, that means we are also asking for your feedback. So we are working to gather peer reviews specifically of ServiceNow's App Engine product line. It's extremely important to us. It's extremely important to the company overall. It's basically like Yelp for software. So very simple. After the webinar is over, mind you, go to the QR code on the screen or devlink.sn/G2TechNow to fill out this survey about App Engine. It takes anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes, but to just kind of, spice up the deal a bit, contributors also get a $25 Amazon gift card. So your feedback is very much appreciated. Again, I will remind you of the link at the end of the broadcast. Now, we won't be covering all the features of Yokohama today. This is the hard news we've got to break for every tech now. If we focused on ITSM and HR and SecOps and all the amazing products that ServiceNow has, it would take us much longer than 60 minutes. So today, we will be focusing on the core platform, developer tools, and of course, how Now Assist plays into those two as well. Also, if you saw all of our titles, we are developer advocates. We are not sales associates. We are not solution consultants, at least anymore. So we'll also not be at liberty to discuss pricing. If you have any questions about these products or how they play into your licensing model, please reach out to your sales team. We do, of course, have a couple of icons to guide you through today's presentation. If you happen to see a little store icon in the upper right-hand corner of a slide, that denotes something that is available from download in the ServiceNow store. If you upgrade to Yokohama, it will not be there by default. It might be included in your current licensing structure for free as part of that inclusion, or it might be an additional cost. Again, please check with your sales team. We will also be showcasing a lot of Now Assist features, so keep an eye out for that little sparkle emoji that the world has seemingly agreed denotes generative AI. Now, to give you a bit of lay of the land of what it means to cover developer tools and platform tools, please take a look at this list, and this kind of will give you a good gauge of what specifically we'll be covering today. I also want to note a slight change. Now, in previous TechNows, we had a whole section dedicated to Now Assist. It was just the Now Assist block. But you'll notice that in ServiceNow, Now Assist is really permeating every part of our platform. And thus, likewise, in TechNow, instead of a specific section for Now Assist, you will see it sprinkled in across all the topics. So again, look for that sparkle emoji to note if something is a Now Assist feature. And of course, what is TechNow without our lovely safe harbor slide? Now today, January 30th, is the early access day for Yokohama, but it is not the general access day. So items here are also subject to change between now and the general availability date in Q1. Purchasing decisions, of course, hold an inherent risk if you make them, so please do not make purchasing decisions based off of today's presentation, or at least accept the risk of doing so. Now, all the housekeeping is out of the way. It is time to kick off the Yokohama TechNow webinar with our stars, Kristy and Pranav, and I will be handing them off to them.
Well, thank you, Lauren. We're going to kick off today's TechNow with everybody's favorite topic, flow generation. Who doesn't love flow generation? In Yokohama, flow generation got 2 significant upgrades where developers can now use things like the hashtag sign to specify exact table names in their flow generation prompt. This makes flow creation more precise, especially for tables that have similar names, like, task or event that we have in our platform. Also, flow generation now includes things like tables, conditions, data pills for most of the steps that generates, saving you time and speeding up your review process by reducing the need for manual adjustments. Now, these enhancements make flow generation faster and more accurate than ever. Now, while those are some really exciting features coming to flow generation, but what happens when you need to troubleshoot or even fine-tune your flows? Well, new in Yokohama, the new Flow Debugger allows you to debug flows and subflows directly in Workflow Studio with a new dedicated debugging tab. You can do things like set breakpoints, pause at specific steps, and even step through your flows or subflows line by line. You can review your configuration values and runtime values to identify and resolve those issues quickly, making sure that your flows flow. And now, to dive into how Now Assist takes summarization to the next level, here's Pranav to break it all down.
All right, so we know building applications on the ServiceNow is super simple, but understanding an app that is built by someone else can be a challenge, right? So without proper documentation, developers often have to dig through the entire application to figure out how it works. So Now Assist is here to make the process effortless. It provides developer with a summary of the application, helping them quickly understand its deployment impact. Now Assist reviews all the key features of the app, such as tables, roles, scripts, flows, and deliver a concise summary of its content and capability. In short, it tells us what the app does, who has access to it, and what resources it uses. So similar to app summarization, we also have table summarization. Developers can now utilize Now Assist to analyze a particular table and generate a concise summary of its fields, data types, and relationships. Back to Kristy, who will explain how Now Assist will make your test management process a complete cakewalk.
All right. Well, introducing Now Assist for test management, or test generation, effortlessly create your intelligent and comprehensive comprehensive test cases using AI. Now, this feature will help eliminate a lot of the manual effort of building tests, helping you generate precise scenarios tailored to your specific workflows. Now, it does all this by interpreting acceptance criteria and test instructions. It enables teams to very quickly refine test cases. It boosts productivity and also helps increase ATF adoption, making sure that you have robust testing and broader coverage, all the while accelerating your deployment cycles and hopefully reducing defects. Now, with Now Assist for test generation, streamlining test creation, reusable tests in ATF take efficiency and consistency even further. Now, this feature allows you to create test cases that can be applied across multiple different suites, eliminating a lot of the duplication and ultimately saving you time. By reusing all of these proven test steps, you can standardize your testing processes, ensuring uniformity and accuracy across all the different scenarios you're using them. And that means that maintenance is also simplified. So you can update a reusable test once, and those changes will automatically apply wherever it's being used, making your testing process faster, more reliable, and easier to manage. Now, let's have a look at what's coming in Yokohama for the brand new ServiceNow Studio from our brand new Senior Developer Advocate, Travis.
Hey, I see what you did there. Well, you only get to play the new guy card once, and ServiceNow Studio set a high bar in Xanadu Patch 3. I absolutely love how seamless it makes developing across multiple scoped apps. If you haven't already given it a shot, I am excited to announce that ServiceNow Studio is currently installed by default on all PDIs running Xanadu or later, and will also be installed by default for all customers in Yokohama. Now, last time you all asked for more hands-on demos, so we asked our product managers to showcase their best new features for you. Up first for ServiceNow Studio, we've got Matt Ripley. Take it away, Matthew.
All right. Thank you for that intro. Let's dive in. Now I'd like to show you some of the exciting additions we're releasing to ServiceNow Studio and Yokohama Store 1. So first is the Experience Switcher. Do you leverage multiple Studio experiences? And do you want them all in one place? Well, with the Experience Switcher, you can easily switch between Creator Studio, ServiceNow Studio, and the ServiceNow IDE. This makes it extremely easy to start an app in Creator Studio. Here you can see I've started this planning efficiency app. I can expand on this app in ServiceNow Studio. And here you can see I can expand this playbook in ServiceNow Studio. And if I want to make complex customizations to my application, I can take it to the next level in ServiceNow IDE. Next, we provided access to the full app settings record in ServiceNow Studio to empower users to edit any application fields and leverage related links. So if I want to make a change, I can update my app record, refresh my app details, and I'll see changes reflected. Lastly, users now have the ability to leverage generative AI to create application summaries in ServiceNow Studio. The app summarization feature will evaluate the tables in your application, generate an app summary for you, and allow you to copy it to your app description to ensure applications are well documented in your instance. So take a peek at the new ServiceNow Studio. With the ability to work on multiple scopes, access to the full set of platform metadata, and the exciting code search, there's a bunch of great functionality to help you work faster and happier.
First, we got seamless editing across scopes, and now we get seamless editing across experiences. This is going to make developing so much easier. But now let's switch experiences to ServiceNow IDE. For those of us that crave a more traditional development experience, ServiceNow IDE will be available by default in Yokohama with some powerful new features. Here to discuss those with us is Edwin Coronado.
Hello everyone. First up, now you can use TypeScript for your ServiceNow scripts in Fluent applications. Let's create a new application, call it my TypeScript app demo. Let's create the application, and now you'll see that we're prompted to select a scripting language. We can use JavaScript or TypeScript. For this demo, we'll use TypeScript, create the application. If we expand the newly created application and we navigate to the server scripts, we can see this new business rule is now using TypeScript. So for example, if I were to add a function here called add, which takes two numbers, I'm getting the full support of TypeScript here, where I get full IntelliSense for my types. So for example, if I try to return something of a different type, it would cause an error. And again, when this compiles, Fluent will transform to JavaScript and will inject this JavaScript function into the business rule. You can also enable TypeScript in an existing Fluent project by adding TypeScript as a developer dependency, adding a tsconfig.json file, and modifying your not-config.json file if needed. Next up, we have support for private NPM registries. So if I navigate to my settings, search for registry, you can see that I've changed my default registry from npmjs.org to a local Verdaccio registry that I'm running locally. If I switch to the file view, you see that I have the registry defined here. We also have a temporary username and password just for demo purposes. Now, if I navigate back to my package.json, and let's say we add the dependency, simple one like is odd. Let's give it version 3.0.1. Hit save, install missing dependencies. And you'll see that at the end, we have actually downloaded is odd from the private Verdaccio server that I'm running. Last but not least, and perhaps one of the most requested features, is the ability to convert an existing application into a Fluent application. I'm going to launch my command palette by pressing Command-Shift-P, typing in Fluent, and you'll see that we have this new action here, convert a scoped app to Fluent. I'm going to click that. You'll see that I have three options here. Two of them say code ready equals true, which means that these are already Fluent applications. However, this convert me application is not. So let's go ahead and click it. The IDE will now import the application, install dependencies, and show you a wizard on how to convert application files into Fluent code. The IDE has now downloaded the entire application in the form of XML files inside this metadata directory. We can see it here. I now can use right-click and convert directory to Fluent to convert specific directories to Fluent code. I can organize different files into different directories to convert a subset of the files, or I can right-click in metadata, convert directory to Fluent to convert the whole application. I'm going to do that for this example. The IDE is going to warn me about this conversion. I'm going to proceed. And now those XML files have been transformed to Fluent code inside my source folder. This feature will now allow you to convert your existing applications and leverage all the power of Fluent and the IDE for your application development needs.
All right. Thanks, Travis, for showing us the ServiceNow Studio and IDE. So moving on to some more quick updates. So when I first started learning about RPA, the learning curve was steep. We completely understand that getting started with automation can be time consuming and often requires a lot of manual UI interaction. But with the power of Now Assist, you can easily generate an RPA bot by just providing a simple description. The combination of Now Assist and RPA is a game changer. It will significantly reduce the time required to get started with the RPA Desktop Design Studio. It will enable rapid prototyping of robot integration. And lastly, it will simplify the automation creation process, reducing the time and effort required to develop RPA automation, ultimately leading to increased adoption. So with Yokohama, developers can now easily export dashboard and visualization as images to PowerPoint, eliminating the manual task of copy and pasting data. This feature will save developers up to 4 hours per week, allowing them to focus on more productive tasks.
Now, with the embeddable knowledge feature in the Yokohama release, you can now expand the reach of your knowledge articles beyond ServiceNow. This enhancement is going to allow you to embed knowledge article components directly into third-party websites using HTML. It's a really simple way to ensure that your content is accessible across multiple platforms, improving its availability and supporting users wherever they need it. Now, in this release, it's only going to be available to authenticated users, so guest access will be coming in a later release. Now, with embeddable knowledge enabling seamless sharing of knowledge articles outside of ServiceNow, a whole heck of a lot of customers are still facing the challenge of accessing external or enterprise content siloed across multiple platforms like SharePoint, Confluence, or Google Drive. Hear it all the time. And this is where external content connectors for AI search come in. External content connectors allow admins to surface enterprise content within ServiceNow's very familiar interfaces like Global Search or Portal Search. With a really easy to use admin console, your connectors can be set up super quickly. You can set up your synchronization schedules and even monitor all the crawling activities happening. Now, these connectors address the need for secure, efficient content delivery, making sure that employees and customers are accessing the relevant answers through enriched AI-powered search experiences. Now, by leveraging generative AI, search results are also augmented with Q&A Genius results generated from indexed external content, bringing enterprise-wide knowledge directly to users.
So one thing is like TechNow is incomplete if we don't talk about our beloved Creator Studio. With Yokohama, we taught it a new trick. Developers can now effortlessly describe the request form using natural language, and system will generate the base form using Now Assist. This feature eliminates the tedious manual task of form configuration, saving developers valuable time and enabling them to focus on more productive activities. We know we can generate catalog items with just a prompt using Now Assist. Starting Yokohama, you can now use Now Assist to add dynamic behavior to your catalog item. It will enhance the developer experience by reducing the amount of manual input required. So some of the examples of dynamic behavior for people who are wondering what it is are like auto-populating certain fields, or showing fields based on certain condition, and a lot more. Now let's have a look at what's coming in Yokohama that will enhance the agent and end user experience from our very own Earl 2K.
Thank you, Pranav and Kristy. Okay, so what am I talking about when I say agent and end user experience? Not just what interfaces agents and end users are utilizing, but the dev work that goes on behind the scenes to make these experiences happen. So we are now going to bring back several of our product managers to talk about updates for specifically UI Builder and then mobile. First, we're going to bring Maria Gabriela Ochoa Perez Vector to talk about UI Builder.
Hello, TechNow. My name is Maria Gabriela Ochoa Perez Vector, and I'm an outbound product manager on the platform team working on UI Builder. I am so excited to share with you what's coming out in Yokohama, so let's go ahead and get started. As of Yokohama, we've expanded the capabilities of UI Builder, and now you can create your own page collections, your own controllers, and your own presets straight from the home page. You can either click on one of the tabs up above, you can click on the Create button up here, or you can scroll down and see these 4 card containers where you can create a new page collection controller or preset. We're going to go ahead and create a new controller, and we're going to go and name it Test Controller. We're going to hit Create, and it's going to take us over to the controller builder. It looks just like UI Builder. It borrows a lot of the same assets, but it looks a little bit different. We don't have a content tree. We only have our data resources, external controller dependencies, client state parameters, and client scripts available. And we also see a controller configuration panel on the right-hand side. Let's go ahead and start by creating an input. I'm going to go and click on Edit. I'm going to click Add Property. I'm going to add in a property called Table. We're going to leave it as type string, and we're going to click Add. We're also going to add a new property, and we're going to name it SysID. And we're going to hit Add, then we're going to hit Save. And that creates our inputs. Next, we're going to add a data resource. We're just going to go ahead and add a simple data resource, look up a single record, and we're going to click Add. and we're going to bind it using the bind data button. And we're going to be able to see the properties that we just created are listed here under SysID and table. We're going to click on that and drag it up here. We're going to hit apply. And we're going to do the same with record. We're going to go back to properties, SysID, and apply. We're going to close out of here. And we'll also notice our properties got added as parameter test values up here. So we can add a table or a SysID to help us test our controller while we're building it. We went ahead and selected the table incident, and it automatically selected the first ID that it found. And now we're able to see in the stage view a preview of what our data resource is pulling. It gives us plenty of space to work with, and we're able to see things a lot better. It's going to be a lot better for more complex data resources like GraphQLs, where you have a lot of nested information. You also have the JSON view available if that's the way you prefer to view things. Another thing that you can do is you can also add external controller dependencies. So we can, for example, we're probably going to use this on a record page. We're going to go ahead and name this form controller, and we're going to select the form controller. So that adds our external controller dependency right there. So now, like I said, the whole point of a controller is for you to take data, do something with it, and then output it. You can also create different event mappings. You can react to dispatched events, create your own handled events, and then create outputs. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to edit output property mappings. We're going to call this controller output, and we're going to go ahead and save, and it shows up here. And we can actually bind the data from our data resource just by clicking and dragging it over to the side here. We're going to go ahead and hit save, and we're done. Now that we've got our output property mappings, we can easily preview our output values just by clicking on the button right here. And we can see our property controller output shows the number. The next thing I want to show you is the new conditional renderer component. You can see that I added it here in the component tree. And when you select it, you're able to see the conditions right here. You can see any that already exist, or you can click on add. We're going to go ahead and add a new one real fast. We're going to select a single component, but you can also add an empty container or a card. And we're going to search for the button component. We're going to select it, and now it gives us the ability to configure the component. We can add a label, we can add an ID, we can add a description. It's always good to add description so you can remember what it does. So I'm going to say, when incident is false, show button. And we're going to render the content when below condition is true. We're going to go to bind data. And here's a great use case for formulas. We're going to go to the formulas tab. We're going to drag the equal formula. And we're going to grab from our data resource the result active display value. And we're going to type in here false. We're going to hit apply, apply, and save. The diamond icon here will show you which condition is currently rendering as true first. These all render from the top to bottom. So since we have our stylized text to be our always, which is our backup fallback option, but we want button to be evaluated first, we're going to drag that up above, and now we see that button is actually active because our record is false. You can also see the same thing here on the content tree, but if you want to be able to switch between them, let's say we're configuring the different components, if you actually click on an inactive condition here, you'll be able to preview it and work with the component even if it isn't the currently active selected condition. If you want to see what it is going to render, just go back to the root item in the content tree and it will show you what is rendering right now. Oh, and look, we have another person on this page. A new Yokohama feature is being able to see the user presence of other people on your UI Builder pages. This is an awesome improvement for collaboration, and I can see Fred is collaborating with me right now. So now I can actually see other people on the page, and I'm going to be able to see, oh, look at that. Fred has updated the page variant. So now I have the option of reloading and seeing what changes they made. Or if I want to override, I can go ahead and hit save, and it will actually warn me before I override Fred's changes. Let's go ahead and override and save and see what happens. Now, I don't know what work Fred did, so I'm going to go ahead and go over to the top left corner, and I'm going to click on Compare Versions. This is yet another awesome Yokohama feature where I can actually compare visually different changes to the UI Builder page. I can see whether something was modified, moved, or deleted. I can compare different versions of the page, and it tells me who saved them and when. And I'm able to compare and view what actually changed. So I can see, it looks like he put in a component that said hello world. I didn't get to cover everything in huge detail. If you want to know more, check out the What's New button in the top right corner of the UI Builder homepage. It'll tell you everything that's new for Yokohama, so you can go and discover it on your own. And that's it for me. Goodbye.
Thank you, Maria Gabriela. UI Builder getting constant updates is always good news to me. But now we're going to shift over to updates to the mobile experience. We know how important it is to make sure all your mobile apps are updated for ServiceNow stuff. But here is Hannah Bassana, KK, and Mark Hopper to talk about it.
Hi, Hannah Bassana here, a mobile product manager. The first feature is the pre-populated instance URL. This is supported by both GA apps and branded apps, but branded apps, which you'll see here in the upper right-hand corner, will have the instance URL baked into the app branding. So upon first download, end users will never have to type in an instance URL. It'll be saved into the app. The GA apps support this by storing initial instance information that the end user must type in on first download, and on second, third, fourth, any other time they open the app, it'll already be saved. So this is a branded app. It is going to work upon initial opening. So what we'll see is I'll open WinNow LLC, and immediately the login screen comes up. It doesn't ask me what instance. It doesn't ask me to type it in. It already knows because this instance was baked into the mobile branding. If I hit cancel, you can see the pre-populated instance, and you can still add new instances if you need. The next feature is the pre-login landing page, where this is a public-facing URL, and as long as you have this mobile property configured and you click is public, your apps will show this pre-login landing page to anybody who downloads the app without ever having to type in the instance or log into it. I'm opening again the WinNow LLC app now that I have saved that mobile property, and what I should see is a pre-login page come up even before the instance sign-in. The pre-login page is defined here in the mobile properties, and that's exactly what you see here is the Sao Paulo public website. End users will have to accept that they're opening up a public website on our app, and they can choose to do that on a mobile browser instead. But natively, we support rendering this mobile web screen. And again, if a end user happens to have the instance login information, they can click this login button. Again, it does not ask the instance. If you've configured a pre-populated instance URL, you just go straight into the sign-in page. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, KK here from the mobile platform product team, and today I'm going to walk you through the image annotation feature. So today when users are trying to upload an image, there is no way to add annotations, mark them up, some things they may need to call out certain aspects in the image. They have to go outside the app, make those changes, and then come back to the app and then upload them. Now you can do those things directly from the app. When you take a picture, in this case, I'm going from the activity stream, and I'm going to take a picture, select the picture. There's a new option where I can mark items. I can set what I need to use, make markings as needed. And when I'm done, I can hit add. In this case, just like before, the attachment gets uploaded and you can see this thing. Now I went through the activity stream, but the same thing can be done through input form screens, through mobile web pages, anywhere today on the mobile app where you can use attachments. You will have this feature of annotating and marking up images as needed. Thank you so much for watching.
Live preview feature in Mobile App Builder helps developers by giving them a representative preview of the mobile app they're configuring in real time right in the Mobile App Builder interface. We've replaced the static preview examples in the right-hand panel with this live preview renderer. The preview will update in real time as changes are made. So for example, when I'm throwing the hide filters option here, you'll see the icon in the upper right is changing along with the setting. When I add in new components, for example, adding in a new stream, you'll see the preview update again. And if we don't have a full configuration available yet, we have an empty state to guide the user to continue working. When I do finish a full configuration, you'll see that the preview updates to that configuration and it updates all aspects of the preview. So for example, we see 2 segments now that I've added the second segment. As I update the name, it'll update in real time as well. And the previews here are built on top of each other. So for example, we're looking at the segment for open tasks. Underneath that is the stream, the list item config, which is a single item, and the card. We can see the record screen has a full preview, down to the details screen, the segments, the activity stream underneath. So by having these live previews in the mobile app, in Mobile App Builder, we eliminate the need for our developers to connect external emulators or mobile devices to their development environment.
All right, thanks, Earl. Those were some awesome updates. So moving on, I talked about Now Assist for RP bot generation a while back. On similar note, using Now Assist, developers can now generate custom spokes using API documentation, removing the dependency in spoke generation for Open API and Postman specification. The process is super simple. Just provide a copy of documentation to Now Assist and let Now Assist work its magic by generating a spoke for you in no time. While it's generating, you can enjoy sipping your coffee or tea, whatever you like.
Now, one of my favorite new features in the Yokohama release is Playbook generation from image. This feature simplifies the process of creating playbooks by allowing you to generate one directly from process diagram images, like what you've written on a whiteboard or even just a workflow sketch. You can upload that image in JPEG, PNG, or WebP format, and also provide an optional text-based prompt to preview your playbook. Then you can refine it with edits and regenerate it until it meets all your needs. Now, this powerful tool utilizes common out-of-the-box activities, ultimately saving you time and enabling you to build playbooks quickly. So freaking cool.
Who doesn't love Access Analyzer? For those of you who are wondering what Access Analyzer is a tool that helps you answer the question of who has access to what. In short, it provides you with the overall picture of the access permission. With Yokohama release, we have now added a new role, AA admin, to allow non-admin users access to Access Simulator, which is part of the Access Analyzer. This was one of the most requested features from our customers and developers, and we are glad to present this as part of the Access Analyzer 4.0, part of the Yokohama release.
Oh boy, hot topic incoming. Starting with the Yokohama release, multi-factor authentication, or MFA, is going to be enforced by default for all local login accounts. Now, this change is going to enhance the security by protecting against things like account takeovers caused by phishing and compromised passwords. External users will have the need to self-enroll in MFA within 30 days of the Yokohama upgrade, but administrators can adjust policies to extend that enrollment window or even exempt specific users, roles, or groups. Now, this enforcement applies exclusively to username and password-based logins, leaving things like SSO and integrations unaffected. It's really a step forward in safeguarding your instances, and yes, your local logins on PDIs are also going to be affected.
Developer sandboxes was one of the biggest highlight from the last year's CreatorCons. Sandboxes will let multiple developers work on the same instance within their own branch, so everybody on the team can work on the same flow, same app, same code base at the same time. Whether you are using low-code tools like ServiceNow Studio or pro-code tools like the IDE, you can collaborate without overlapping each other's works. In short, it lets you work together without overlap. Let's take an example. So Joe and Abel are working on the same script include within the same instance, as you can see on the screenshot. With developer sandboxes, they can easily make changes to the script include without overwriting each other's work.
Now, generative AI has shown us how powerful it can be for writing and editing text, saving us valuable time. I personally use it all the time to refine my own writing. But with the Yokohama release, we're bringing that power of Now Assist to the classic environment. Agents can now access email reply recommendations directly through their workspace email client, even if they haven't transitioned to the full workspace setup. With just a click, they can elaborate on or shorten their email responses, saving time and improving service quality. Now, this easy to adopt feature boosts productivity, and it ensures agents always know where they are in the process, making email management faster and smarter. Now, back to you, Lauren, to tell us all about what's new in workflow automation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kristy and Pranav. So now it is time to dive into our big final topic of the day, which is workflow automation. Workflows on ServiceNow predominantly come in two big flavors nowadays. We have flows and we have playbooks. So we've got some really kick-butt improvements to both, thankfully. So let's start with flows, which are the foundation of automation now on the ServiceNow platform. Since Now Assist's release, the influence has grown with every release, as we've seen in this entire showcase, right? It started with creating entire apps with Now Assist, and it's getting further and further niche down, becoming more integrated into the realm now of subflows and actions. So let's see exactly what that looks like in Yokohama.
Hi, good morning, everyone. In this session, we'll be talking about conversational subflow and action. For the people who don't know what's conversational subflow and action, it is a powerful framework that allows you to execute any action subflow conversationally using an AI assistant. That could be Now Assist panel or Now Assist for virtual agent or any additional channels that are configured on that instance. This is a Pro Plus SKU and it's available with Now Assist for platform. So in today's session, we would be talking about the latest feature coming in this release, and let's dive into application and see how it shows up. So once you log in into a ServiceNow instance and go to Flow Designer, you'll have Subflow and Action. So in this release, we have added a new tab called Conversational Compatible. So we have a backend script that evaluates each action or subflow against the data types used in creating this action subflow versus the set of data types that are conversationally compatible. There is another set of data that is skill metadata that needs to be configured for conversational compatible records to make it conversation enabled. Now, let me walk you through what it takes to make a conversation compatible record as conversation enabled. So once you click open a conversational compatible record and click on the overflow menu, select conversation setting. And this is a new configuration screen that we have built in this release as well. So we would expect the admins to create the skill name, the skill description. Please be mindful on creating the skill description because this becomes very useful in skill discovery. So once this is configured, we move to advanced setting. There are a bunch of settings that we would expect admins to review and select. Including discovery allows this skill to be discoverable, including list of topic. Promote skill is on a similar line of list of topic. It's just that it's an actionable pill that the user can click and start the conversation. Use autonomous mode. So we have supervised and autonomous mode. So once you have done this configuration, you're all good to start the execution using any assistant. So for example, I have create outage for this demo. So I would execute that. So now based on the input types configured, that would be configuration item, date and time when this outage was the reported, and also the source record. these input types would be, these inputs would be asked during the conversation. So the first one is select the configuration item. So I select MySQL FLX. Now it will ask for the date and time. Let me take today's date and 1240, perfect. So selected today's date and time, and then it's asked for the source record. So let me select this. Once all the input values are collected, it will give me a confirmation prompt. And if all the details looks good, I select yes, and it will create an outage record. This is another enhancement that we have done. We have bring in the card view, and we pick the details from the default table view, and we take the first 5 columns. We also have a new feature called enable follow-up. So you can do a follow-up based on the output of the current conversations. For example, let me ask, okay. So once the enable follow-up is checked for a skill, you can ask any related questions. We also have chaining of skills. So it takes the output of the first skill and execute the second skill. That's all we have for this release. Thank you.
Fantastic. Now, as I said in the beginning, we also have improvements made to playbooks, which you got a little teaser of. Playbooks, of course, represent the macro level of automation on ServiceNow, bringing in all forms to present in the business of what's going on at that highest level. So because of that, playbooks really need to have a bunch of attributes. They need to be flexible, and they need the ability to handle multiple contingencies and multiple relationships. So because both of these fronts have been vastly improved in Yokohama, they deserve the highlight. So both through the reevaluation abilities upon restart and the adding in of this parent-child paradigm that now exists, we can focus on that flexibility at a much higher and much more specific degree. So again, let's see what that looks like.
Hello, I'm going to give you a demo on a recent Playbook feature that was introduced in the Xanadu Store 2 release in November 2024. This feature is called Playbook Variants. Variants is a way for process authors to manage complex business processes where you can define a base set of steps, foundational steps that are true for any process nuance, and then you can layer on top of your process nuanced steps. An example that we're going to walk through today is a recruitment process. And so we're going to show how you can configure a playbook to have these nuances. So you'll be able to manage it as one comprehensive process asset as opposed to having to manage different processes for different nuances. And we're also going to show a recent feature in our Yokohama release that allows you to restart the playbook and reevaluate which variant you're going to execute in runtime. So let's jump right in. We've got this playbook available to us. It is going to show us both the base steps. So you can see here that we've got a couple of stages. So we're going to do recruiter review, hiring manager review. Looks like we've got some interview panels, and then we've got a debrief and a decision. Now, let's say that I want to treat recruiting of individual contributors differently from managers. I can now add variants. So you can see here that we've got some existing variants for individual contributors and managers, and you can even see that we go a layer further. There are some additional nuances if we are an IC5 or IC6, or if we are at least an M4. So you can add up to 6 layers deep underneath the base variant. And then the way that you configure your variant is that you will give it a name. You will add conditions. So you can see here that we have a parent condition for this IC5 and IC6 level, and then we have additional conditions for this specific variant. So the job level is IC4, IC5, or IC6, and that will run this variant when our candidate is at least one of these levels. Now, let's take a look at one of the variants. So when I navigate from the base, you can see all of the activities are active. When I navigate down, I suddenly see things graying out. What this means is that I can't modify anything in the base playbook when I'm on a variant. But as I pan to the right here, you can see I've got a colored activity. What this means is that this activity has been added for this specific variant. So when we have an IC5 or IC6 candidate, we are going to have a design discussion round. Let's take a look at managers as another example. So here we don't have any of the design or coding interview panels, but if we go to M4, so if I'm at least an M4 candidate, there's a VP interview because this is a higher manager level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new record, and so the job level is going to be IC6. It's not a manager. And let's give it a department. Let's test this process. So now when we choose this record, this is going to show us a preview of the running playbook. So we're going to open a playbook preview page. And you can see that we've got some instructional activities. So this is a mark complete. Now we've got a questionnaire. So the recruiter needs to confirm that they've got the right levels of experience and whether they think that they should proceed with sending this candidate to the hiring manager. So we'll do that and submit. And then we're going to move into the hiring manager review. So similar steps, just an instruction, and then we're going to rate the applicant. So this is a very strong candidate. We want to move forward. So based on this rating, it says we should proceed to the interview. All right, so let's take a look at this. So we've got an IC6 candidate. That means during the technical panel, there are 4 steps, the coding round and the design discussion round. Remember, design discussion is for an IC6 candidate. So we're running the correct variant in this case. Now, let's say that our organization requirements changed and suddenly we need a manager. I'm going to make that change in the candidate record. So we're going to say this is now a manager, and let's say we're going to make them an M5. So we're going to update this record. And then what we're going to do is we are going to restart our playbook. So we were running the base recruitment process plus the IC6 variant. And now that this candidate is going to be evaluated as a manager, an M5, what we want to do is we want to restart this playbook. Let's see what happens when we restart for this candidate. And this is now going to be a manager type of evaluation and interview process. So we're going to have the hiring manager complete their review again. So is this a good candidate for manager? Yes, I think he's a very strong candidate. So let's move on to the manager interview panels. And now you can see that we don't have as many steps in the technical panels. So we don't have the coding discussion, we don't have the design discussion, and we have the VP interview in the manager side of things. So again, this variance feature allows you to define your base set of steps that should be part of every execution of this business process, this playbook. And then you can layer on top of that the nuances that you need for your complex business process. Hope that you found this informative. We look forward to seeing all the cool stuff that you do with the feature. Thanks.
And that rounds out all of our slides, except for, of course, as per tradition, we try to do one more thing to close out every TechNow, and AI agents. It is the talk across all tech right now. And while we only have this brief overview slide for you here, we want to emphasize how integral AI agents will be for ServiceNow and to encourage you to learn more, at least more than the time I have with you today. And in fact, we had a really big launch event that showcased how AI agents will autonomously get work done. That just aired yesterday. And so make sure to check out that launch event stream at devlink.sn/AI agents or scan the QR code on your screen. It's a must-see 10-minute watch. It's only 10 minutes. So make sure right after this video, you go over there and watch that 10 minutes. And just kidding, one more thing. One of our biggest requests every TechNow is that we should go into more detail for any given topic, but we just do not have the time in this 1-hour webinar. But for those of you that follow the ServiceNow Dev Program YouTube channel, Creator Toolbox is one of our shows. It's being revamped this season, and we are making sure the content is polished, edited, and succinctly presented for your on-demand needs. We have almost 16 presentations from our product managers lined up for you all, so be sure to go to devlink.sn/Yokohama, where we will be updating it with links as the episodes are filmed. And with that, let's grab as many questions from the audience as possible. We've been trying our best to answer them live, but if we don't get to your question live, then we will try our best to answer them after the fact, especially if we didn't know the answer. We're going to go ask around to try to find out those answers. But all right, does anybody have a good first question?
Well, one I saw, but I can't help but draw a highlight to, is when is Yokohama going to be on PDIs? When is Yokohama going to be on PDIs? Today is the early access date, which historically, Yokohama or the releases appear on the PDIs or personal developer instances the day of early access. We cannot confirm or deny, but historically, they've always come out on eDay. So please keep an eye on developer.servicenow.com to either upgrade your PDI or get a new instance with Yokohama installed.
And don't release your instance if you have one. Just get it upgraded. Like
yes.
you might hit a queue if you release your instance. So wait for the upgrade part of it. That's the tip every time. Another question I saw pop up several times is someone asked, is Studio part of Now Assist? No, Studio is available to everybody. So ServiceNow Studio is going to be by default installed on all Yokohama instances, and I think now in Xanadu instances too. So Studio's part is free for everyone. It's not a paid product. So that's one thing we're always really excited about. It's free.
Yes, and I realized after the fact that I left off sparkles off of my slides about flow generation. Yes, that requires Now Assist, as does email reply recommendations. Sorry.
And there was a particular question around which platform how ServiceNow integrates with the different RPA platforms. Just to remind everyone, ServiceNow has itself as a RPA product of it. So you don't have to go to a different RPA platform to use RPA capabilities, just for the clarification. I have a question till the time so somebody was asking like with the new access analyzer role that I was talking about, the AA admin, where it will be available, it will be part of the store release. As Access Analyzer is a free app on store, so everyone can use. So it will be part of the store release with the Access Analyzer 4.0. I think it will be the Q1 store release.
And I think I did see another question about ServiceNow Studio. Does ServiceNow Studio have source control? We saw that pop up a couple of times. So behind the scenes, I was asking some product managers and directors about it. Source control is coming. It's not in this release of Yokohama yet, but they do plan for it for store release 2 or the first release of Zurich. So safe harbor, spoiler alert, but it's coming. And I know that's one of the most requested things, but it's coming. It's on the, they said for sure by Z, but hopefully by later for Y. I think we're over time already, so I think we're going to start wrapping up.
And that's all we have for Yokohama. Thank you, Earl, Pranav, Kristy, and Lauren for all the help. And thank you for joining in. Make sure to upgrade your PDI or claim a new one to get Yokohama. Those of you watching live may have to wait until later today. While you wait, you can check out the Yokohama release notes at docs.servicenow.com. Have fun exploring, and we'd love to hear from you.